I worked at a bookstore when a man came in and asked for a globe. I showed him our selection. He picked one up, spun it, and asked with a straight face, "Do you have one that's just of the United States?" I explained that a globe is a model of the entire planet. He looked genuinely disappointed and said, "Well, that's not very patriotic. I don't need to see all these other useless countries." My coworker was convinced that if you drove your car in reverse, the odometer would go backwards, effectively reducing the car's mileage. He spent an entire Saturday driving up and down his long driveway in reverse, thinking he was increasing his car's resale value. He was furious when he checked the mileage, and it had actually gone up by a few miles. A woman called Rid Help Desk, complaining that her new wireless mouse wasn't working. I asked if she had taken out the small plastic tab to activate the battery. She said, "No, I'm not an idiot. I plugged it into charge overnight." I then had to explain to her for 10 minutes that a wireless mouse with disposable batteries cannot be charged by plugging the USB receiver into the wall. I was a server at a seafood restaurant. A woman ordered the calamari, and when I brought it out, she looked horrified. She called me over and said, "Excuse me, I ordered calamari. This is just a bunch of fried onion rings." I politely explained that calamari is fried squid. She argued with me for 5 minutes, insisting that every other restaurant serves it as onion rings, and that we were trying to scam her with cheap seafood. A tourist in London was complaining loudly to his wife while looking at the Tower Bridge. "This is ridiculous. It doesn't look anything like the pictures. Where are the shops and the houses on it?" His wife agreed they must have renovated it and ruined it. They were thinking of the old London Bridge, which has been gone for centuries, and we're standing in front of the wrong bridge entirely. My aunt believes that all animals are born knowing English, and that animals in other countries only learn foreign languages to fit in. She was telling a story about her trip to Mexico and how impressed she was that the dogs there had learned to understand Spanish so quickly. She was completely serious. A guy in my history class argued that the pyramids were built by the ancient Romans to use as giant grain silos, when the professor explained they were Egyptian tombs, built thousands of years before the Roman Empire. The student said that sounds like a conspiracy theory. The Romans were the best builders, so they must have built them. A customer tried to return a used, melted candle to our home goods store. Her reason was that it was defective. When I asked what was wrong, she said it burned away. It's supposed to be a candle. It should last forever. This is planned obsolescence and I won't stand for it. She thought candles were a permanent light source. My roommate was boiling water for tea. She filled the electric kettle, turned it on, and then put the entire kettle on the stove burner, which she also turned on high. She said she wanted the water to boil faster. The plastic base of the kettle melted completely, and she blamed the stupid kettle design. Overheard at a national park, a man was yelling at a park ranger next to a "Do not feed the bear" sign. The man was angry because he had been waiting for an hour and hadn't seen any bears. He said, "How are the bears supposed to know this is a good place to hang out if you don't even leave any food for them? You're terrible at your jobs." A woman came into the clinic where I work and insisted that her son had reverse chicken pox. When the doctor asked for clarification, she explained that instead of getting itchy red spots, he was developing smooth white patches on his skin. The doctor diagnosed it as vitiligo, but she refused to accept it, claiming the doctor wasn't listening. My friend was on a date with a girl who thought that nocturnal meant an animal was extinct. She was talking about a documentary and said it was so. Said they showed all these beautiful animals, like owls and bats that are nocturnal. Now my friend just paid the bill and left. A man tried to pay for his $150 grocery bill with a single, unscratched lottery ticket. He argued that its potential value was $50,000. So they should give him his groceries and a lot of change. The manager was called, and the man was eventually escorted out by security, yelling about the lack of vision in retail. I had to explain to my 20-year-old cousin that the Great Depression was a historical, economic event and not, as she believed, just a really sad movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. She thought it was the prequel to Titanic. A tourist at the Vatican asked a Swiss guard, "So is the Pope like a king, and if so, where is the princess?" She then asked if she could get a selfie with him, because her friends back home would totally think he was a celebrity. A man called the police to report his GPS for kidnapping him. He had blindly followed the directions for 3 hours into a different state for what was supposed to be a 20-minute trip to the store. He wanted the GPS unit arrested. My coworker keeps a pet rock on his desk. He insists that if he waters it every day, it will eventually grow into a bigger, stronger rock. He's been doing this for 6 months and claims he can already see a difference in its size and texture. A woman on a community Facebook group was asking for advice on how to get her cat to be less political. She claimed that her cat would only knock over books written by authors from one political party, and was clearly trying to make a statement. A guy I knew from college thought that wind was created by trees waving their branches too hard. He was a passionate environmentalist, but his main reason for wanting to plant more trees was to create more wind, to cool the planet. A customer at the electronics store asked me if our TVs were HD compatible. I said yes. He then asked, "Okay, but do I have to pay extra for the pixels? Or do they come included in the price?" He thought pixels were a physical accessory you had to buy separately. My sister's friend believes that if you eat a food that's the same color as a vegetable, you get the same nutrients. For example, she eats green gummy bears instead of broccoli, and orange soda instead of carrots, convinced she's living a healthy lifestyle. A tourist in Paris was complaining that the Louvre was poorly designed. Her complaint: you have to walk through miles of boring old art just to see the Mona Lisa. They should put her right at the entrance, so people can just get their picture and leave. My uncle refuses to use self-checkout lanes at the grocery store because he's convinced the scanner steals a little bit of your soul every time it beeps. He says he can feel himself getting weaker just by standing near them. A woman tried to get a refund on her gym membership because she had been going for a month and hadn't lost any weight. When the manager asked about her routine, she said she just sat in the sauna for an hour every day because she didn't want to get all sweaty on the machines. A student in my astronomy class asked the professor, "If the Earth is spinning so fast, why don't we all just fly off into space?" The professor explained gravity. The student replied, "That doesn't sound right. I think the government puts something in the water to make our feet sticky." A man at a farmer's market was arguing with a honey vendor. He was angry that the honey was made by bees. He said, "That's disgusting. I thought honey came from those honeycomb cereals. I'm not eating something that came out of an insect." My roommate was trying to hang a picture. He didn't have a hammer, So he put the nail in his shoe and tried to kick it into the wall. He missed the nail, put a hole in the wall, and almost broke his toe. A woman called the fire department because her smoke detector was beeping. When they arrived, they found her fanning a cloud of smoke from a burnt pizza. She said, I know, but can you guys make the noise stop? It's really annoying. A guy I worked with thought that manual labor was a guy named Manuel, who worked for the Spanish government. He was confused when our boss asked him to do some manual labor around the office. A tourist at the Dead Sea was shocked that he could float so easily. He asked the guy, did the government put some kind of anti-gravity machine at the bottom of the sea to make this happen for tourists? A woman at a gas station was trying to put diesel into her regular gasoline car. The attendant ran out to stop her. She got angry and said, don't tell me what to do. Diesel is more expensive, so it must be the premium. Better gas for my car.